Take me home tonight. Listen, honey, just like Ronnie said. Just like Ronnie said.
All right. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the unofficial official pod from Straight No Chaser. As always, I am Mike Luganbill here with Segi and Tyler. And if you're watching on YouTube, you will also see that this week we have another guest with us. If you listened last week, we had on Steve Morgan, who was one of the original members of SNC. This week, we have one of the newest members of SNC, one half of the rhythm section, who in all sorts of ways just absolutely is someone who we love having in the group, and we're excited for you guys to hear a little bit about him. So without any further ado, please welcome Mr. Freedom Young to the unofficial pod. What's up, brother?
Thanks so much for having
Nice to see you, man. Thanks for being here with us.
problem, man. Feeling good.
I would just say these guests have been really easy to get. They've been really like we just asked them and they just come. They're like they don't have to drive in. They're like right here. It's very convenient.
We're focusing on the free guests first.
Then
That's what our budget calls for.
then we'll move into we can provide you water.
We couldn't even do that. The one we had here was
These ones-
already open.
No, that's the next step. The next tier is provide
Yeah,
water.
just go back to your bus and grab water.
Yeah, on this episode, we are going to recap the shows from last week, and we're also going to get into a little bit of Freedom's journey in music and what was happening all through up until where he is now. So if we could start there, I think that would be great. Like I think a lot of us know you and we know your story, but a lot of our listeners may not know. I think the one thing that they likely know is that out of all of us, you're the only one who did not go to Indiana, right?
We can't all be perfect. So.
Right.
There's still time. We still have time. We're working on it.
Why don't you give us a little bit of background on you
Sure.
and your whole journey up until now? It's a lot, but
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
You
we'd like
have
to know.
12 seconds.
So yeah, I don't know if anyone has seen a show early in the stages when I first joined SNC. I told the story about how I would sing in the car seat. My mom heard me. She's like, wow, we really love singing. Put me in gospel choir. And that started pretty much when I was 4. And
Where was that?
that was my dad was in the Navy, so we moved around a lot.
Oh.
Today I learned that you used to live in Connecticut.
Yep.
I
Yep.
thought it was just the one place.
No, I lived in by age 6, I lived in 6 states.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Shout out to your dad and all servicemen out there for today.
Absolutely.
Today is Veterans Day,
Big
so
ups to my dad. all
yeah,
right.
that's right.
So yeah, I started singing pretty early in gospel choir, and then that pretty much stayed the way that things were. I sang in church pretty much all the way up through middle school. And then 8th grade, I did my first musical, which was Grease. And I fell in love with just the whole theatrics, like performing as opposed to just singing. And then through high school, I did pretty much everything choir. I did show choir, the honors choir, the musicals, all that.
Sure.
And
Mhm.
actually, my choir teacher was at our show last night,
All right.
That's cool.
which was very cool.
You didn't just do choir
I
and
did-
music. You were also involved in other activities at school.
Yes, I played football. Yeah, that was pretty much my.
Did you run
primary
track
sport.
too?
I did run track. I
Yeah.
ran track. And I was pretty decent, but my mom made me drop it because I got a C in school. She was like, nope.
Yeah,
no."
Mama didn't like that.
That's a good mom right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Good mom.
I thank her for that. Keeping
Yeah.
me focused.
That's right.
So then once I got done with high school, I went to the University of Delaware.
That's right.
Go
That's
Blue
right.
Hens.
Mhm.
And I actually went and I started as athletic training, like physical therapy. That's what I wanted to do. But I got into a cappella there. And yeah, I fell in love with it. It was really awesome. It was
Mhm.
like the days of the week I was looking forward to the most. And I became the music director there. And while I was at University of Delaware, one of the guys in my vocal studio, this guy Jeff Ames, shout out to Jeff, he told me about this summer group called Hyena Sound. and that is a group on Cape Cod. Ty knows
That's
very
right.
well
Yeah.
about that group.
That's right.
That's our connection. That summer group on Cape Cod, some of the most awesome summers I like ever had.
Mhm.
And then that was the first time I made money from singing a cappella music, and I was like,
It's possible.
it's it's possible. And then after that, I joined a group in Boston called Overboard. I did that for a couple years. We did some national touring, a lot of universities and stuff like that. And then I got asked to sub on a like enrichment voyage, which is pretty much like a cruise ship for educators or whatever.
Fun.
And that was with a group called The Exchange. I did that for 2 weeks. At the end, they asked if I wanted to be one of their permanent members. I
Mhm.
said, sure. And that really opened up a lot of doors. Traveled the world,
How many people were in your band? Or
like each group.
yeah. Or
So-
in the exchange. How many
Oh,
people
in
were
the
in the
exchange. There were
Yeah.
5 of us in the exchange.
Okay.
Actually, like everyone had involvement in that show, the sing off. So, it was
Oh, so you
kinda
guys were on
like-
the sing off?
Yeah, I
with
was
that?
behind the scenes
Okay.
of it, doing vocal bumpers and stuff like that you hear. But the other guy, one guy was a coach on the show, and the other 3 were contestants on the show.
Got it.
And then that's how we were able to get into some doors that maybe we wouldn't have been able to get into if it was just the 5 of us randomly starting. But we did a lot. We traveled, we performed in, I think, over 30 countries together.
Wow.
And yeah, we were really on that touring bit. Oh, we were really on that touring bit. And then I think the highest point, maybe, I don't want to say the highest point, but we did a tour with the Backstreet Boys, and it was like
Man.
That's a pretty big gig.
yeah, that's it.
I don't know if we've ever done anything that big.
I don't
That's,
think we
that's
have.
pretty big.
Yeah, so that was cool. And then we were a group for maybe 4 years, and then everyone has their own interests. We weren't like making a crazy amount of money or anything like that. We were gaining awesome experiences, but other people had other aspirations they wanted to do. And then yeah, that ended in maybe 17.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
And then I did a trio with 2 of the other guys from the group, and we got really involved in doing government arts programming. We worked with a lot of embassies around the world, and we don't do that as much. Each of us have gone our own way. Still really good friends. It was amazing experiences again. And then the pandemic hit. I was living in Germany at the time.
Oh, you were really?
Yeah.
You were doing like
Were you-
dinner theater, right? Or some sort
Yeah.
of theater, dinner, like cabaret type thing?
Yes. So I moved to Germany in 2019, but even in 2017 and 2018, I was there maybe 6 months a year,
Well,
doing a lot of dinner shows and stuff like that. At one spot in particular, this spot, Europa Park, which is like a German theme park. And I did a bit there. And yeah, once everything shut down, I could no longer hold a visa because I couldn't work. And so I came back home. My sister said, come out to California. I started doing TikToks. They kind of blew up.
Yeah.
And then I got this magical email. Okay, wait. Okay,
Yeah.
so I was doing TikTok. I was doing this thing where I was making current hip hop songs sound like older stuff.
Freedom's boombox.
So that was the trio.
Oh,
that was the
okay.
trio
That was the
that
trio.
did the government stuff. But so that account blew up, and then Postmodern Jukebox, this group who specializes in doing that, like taking current
Right.
tunes and making them sound older, they got in touch with me. I went to Nashville, shot a video there, and on my way back from the video shoot, I got an email from none other than Tyler Trepp saying there was an opening
Mm.
for Straight No Chaser, which I never expected that email because I knew that everyone.
Those guys are terrible at
No.
vocal percussion. They wouldn't be looking in my direction. They are happy being really bad at vocal percussion. But
And we're
what?
really looking for that.
No, not necessarily.
At
We're
like,
looking.
the time we weren't.
yeah,
Bass we were looking,
We're looking
right?
for a bass,
Yeah.
but
No. The first time we were looking for a vocal percussionist, we had a bass.
Oh,
I think it was
you're right.
both,
We were
right?
the
It was-
opposite.
It was both.
Well, what
Because we
happened
invited
was-
basses and vocal percussionists, and we were hoping to find someone that could do both, ideally, which I don't think is a thing that
yeah, I think,
exists.
but the
Yeah,
main
sure.
goal was to find somebody. I think if I'm remembering it was to find somebody who was. I think my wording that I used was a dedicated vocal percussionist,
Mm.
and I think the only way to find somebody with the talent outside of the guys that we know from our Indiana pool would be to go outside and just cast a wide net about who we know, who we could get to come. And because having a dedicated vocal percussionist, we knew would elevate our sound, because Segi and I could do it. We're fine. We're not going to bring the house down. We're not going to be the most amazing thing people have seen, but having somebody who could elevate our group to where freeze Segi and I and other people and Jasper who does VP could free us up to sing, that just builds our sound even more. So that was, I think, our goal.
Just a little backstory on that, though. There was a lot of internal struggle when we were deciding if we were going to open up to outside of the Indiana University lineage. And there was a lot of talk about the brand and the strength and integrity of the entire storyline all being Indiana and the connection. And it was really hard for some people to kind of accept that and come to terms. It was a lot easier for those people that had those kind of questioning the whole thing. It was a lot easier once we heard you do what you can do. And it was like, oh, okay, obviously.
The audience also thinks that too. Once they hear him, like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, we get it.
Because, and this isn't throwing shade at anybody, but vocal percussion, like at least up until through the years that I was in the group on campus, I can say that it wasn't really a focus. Like Mickey was really good at it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
A lot of the original SNCs, that group, like all their songs like barely had any. It was all just
Yeah. And it was, if there was, it was just like,
it was real light or something that
Yeah.
was.
so it wasn't really ever like a primary focus. That wasn't like big in our sound at the university. So the pool of people we had to choose from for vocal percussion kind of wasn't there because it just never was a priority in college. There are younger guys now like Yash, who's unbelievable. He's sick.
Yash
Well,
is the
like-
guy that's in the another round group at Indiana.
He was. I think he
was. I'm
graduated
sorry, he
last
was.
year. But yeah, like at least up until my years, there wasn't anybody like Mickey was probably the
He was
exception.
Yeah, he was the best.
That was doing like modern vocal percussion. Because everything we would do was like traditional, just in the
Like,
background.
almost
not,
like jazzy.
yeah,
that
just
kinda
like
like
simple
hi-hat,
stuff
simple-
that's you could tell it's there, but it's not a like focused featured part. Like all that modern stuff started coming out when, you know, Pentatonics came out, even Home Free, and you know, even Jeff Thatcher with Rockapella, like
yeah.
that dude was going ham on vocal percussion. But it was for Straight No Chaser, it was just never a focus. So then when we decided to make it a focus, it was like, all right, we're gonna have to expand our search because we need a ringer. And you made the decision so much easier for those guys that had those hesitations to break the story.
Yeah, totally.
And honestly, if you were to poll everybody that comes out of our show at the end of every show and say, hey, what school did these guys go to? I don't think most people would know. I think all the chasers know, like all the diehards and the dedicated chasers obviously know the story. But I think the majority of people that come to the show every year with their family, it's a tradition, don't really care about it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we are a business and we are selling a product.
Mhm.
And we need to make sure the product is as good as it possibly can be. And whether that means choosing someone that didn't go to Indiana or whatever, those are the decisions we need to make because everyone listening or watching is
Mhm.
spending a lot of money to come to our shows, to buy merch, to be a fan. It's not fair to them if we're just like, oh, we'll just take the guy who's not as good just because he fits the story.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? We got to put out the best product we can. Like the NBA team isn't going to draft some guy's kid to be on the team
Fair enough.
who's not good just for the story. It's
It would
just
never happen.
It's
Never
not
gonna
going to happen, guys.
Yo.
But he's not in the league anymore, so it doesn't matter. So what was that like? Okay, you're coming back from a really cool experience with
Right.
PMJ, and then you get this random email from out of the blue from a guy you're like, no, but don't. And were you just wondering like, how did he get into my hands? How does he know my name? What's going on here?
We weren't that far apart. I think Ty's last year, like I was one of the replacements for the people who left Ty's. So we weren't that far apart. But yes, the one thing I did know about SNC was it's Indiana. So the email was like a surprise. And it was actually about 3 weeks after my partner Camille and I, we found out that we were going to be having a baby.
That's right.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was with me actually in Nashville when I was doing the shoot because it was around her birthday and we were celebrating. And I was like, oh my goodness, I was so excited. I was like, oh my goodness, I just got this email from this group, Straight No Chaser. Like, they're like a pro touring group. Oh my goodness, I never thought I would get this like opportunity. She didn't know very much about acapella, so she was like, cool.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever, nerd. Let's go back to dinner.
What is,
Let's go get this
Yeah.
birthday dinner.
what is
But yeah, I replied. I was like, absolutely 100% interested. And yeah, it was at that time, I think I got that email in late March or early April or something like that.
Mhm.
I knew the audition would be a few months away, and I was like, okay, all right.
You're also very strategic in your auditioning process because so you come in, you crush the audition, you get called back. You come to the callbacks, you crush it. We had already
I know where you're going.
we already knew it was very obvious. Even Brits, our manager, who definitely had reservations about going outside of the story, was like, yeah, dude, no break. Like there wasn't anybody who was like, oh,
He had a connection though somehow, right?
Delaware.
Delaware.
Oh,
He
you had
knew
worked
somebody
with someone
who-
he knows.
Oh yeah, actually,
Cousin of his or
Peter, his
that's right.
cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a musical.
This Peter?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was this
Yeah,
Peter.
it's this
Oh,
Peter.
mixed
It's
church
our
Peter.
merchandise guy,
Small
like a
world.
merch guy. But yeah, we did a show together, Suzical the Musical, maybe 20 years ago.
Suzical the musical.
Suzical the Musical.
We're all in the callbacks, and we had our video crew there because we were gonna document all this and make a video out of it. And we were like, all right, we know it's him. We know he's the guy. We got to call him in here and get this on video. And some guys were like, why don't we wait? No, let's just do it now. So we get you back in there and we have it all on video. We played the video. It's on YouTube probably. And we're like, you're going to be the guy, and all the thing, all the embracing and all the hugging, camera goes off. And you're like, oh, by the way, I'm having a baby in the middle of our peak touring season. Is that cool? And not that it would have changed anybody's mind, but it was just amazing how you were just like, okay, I'm in. All right, cool. By the way,
I thought you were going to say how, because I think initially we were like, okay, man, it's not going to happen or something. And then like you left and we asked you to come back for something.
we made up
Well,
some
that-
cover
it was some
story.
cover-
We
yeah,
needed
I
to
think y'all said that
We're
y'all
like,
forgot.
oh,
Y'all
yeah,
had
we
a
didn't-
few questions
more
that y'all
questions.
forgot
Oh,
to
that-
ask me, and I was thinking like, okay, it's
That's
between
what it
like
was.
myself and somebody else.
don't talk about the baby.
Actually, it's funny because Camille I was like, I feel like I should tell them. She was like, if they offer you the position,
Like it was in between you, like you and one other person who now is in the group,
Yeah.
ironically. Which is Bob.
I mean, we talked about taking you both. We're like,
Yeah.
Wild.
do we just do that?
yeah, I heard that. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, but yeah, I just figured. I think that was probably the most nervous I had been for an audition in a very long time. And so I guess part of me was like, okay, I don't want to say anything that will take away my chances from,
Sure.
you know what I
It
mean?
wouldn't have. It was just funny how it played
Yeah.
out. But I'll say this: the super annoying part about you is
Oh.
we were like, all right, we're auditioning for a dedicated vocal percussionist, and you come in and you crush it. And then you're like, oh, I sing too. And we're all
Mhm.
thinking like, oh, he's probably fine. And then he starts singing, and we're like, God dang it. Should we have him do vocal percussion? Like he's so good at singing. Like it's really annoying.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll just say that from me knowing him a little bit from Behind a Sound, I knew that he could sing. So I was like, this, even when we were first talking about it, I'm like, I think this is the guy. He's has experience. He's been in a bunch of groups. He can do vocal percussion. He can also sing a solo if we need to. Like it's just so versatile. And knowing that you were in High Sound, I know that you went through that audition process too. So you
yeah.
weren't like a
Mhm.
weirdo.
But I'll also
No,
I
like-
do, yeah, totally. Which I feel like is probably the more important part,
I think
actually,
so,
when
too.
you're on tour with
Oh, it
everyone,
absolutely
like
is.
actually just being able to hang with the guys.
That's why we can say this now, but or part of our audition process is a hangout, so we can
Yeah, just to get to know people a little bit, get some drinks in them, see how they're reacting. And it's probably, we all went through it in college, but it was low stakes, wasn't like a real thing. But I would say that your overall contributions to this group, like what you do on stage is like a very small part of it. Like, not to discount or diminish anything you do on stage,
Sure.
but you came in and immediately started arranging, you got an original song. We have a video for it. It's on an album. Like, you were just like,
Let's
it's
go.
time to
Yeah.
hustle. I'm going to drag you all with me. And I even told you, we were like, yo, you're like the social media guru. Take it and run with it.
And you
Yeah.
have.
And I told you, I
Really
was like,
have.
hey, getting everyone in this group to meet up during the day on a show day or whatever, it's going to be infuriatingly frustrating, but do it and
Yeah.
just know that like the result is worth
Totally.
the annoyance in the beginning. People have routines
Absolutely.
but it's always funny because
I appreciated that because it set me up to know what to expect. But now I feel like
Yeah, I think we're all.
everyone's just okay, cool. Let's do it.
How long from after the audition were you out on the road with us? So it was April audition, right? And then I think we did
June,
arena
it was
shows.
in June.
The audition was in
Okay.
June 6th.
And then
And then the first tour
shows
was
you did
September.
Okay.
September, we did a little 1 week
Yeah.
run.
We did a little rehearsal in Bloomington and photo shoot.
That's
Right,
right.
that's
in
right.
August.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that usually like you'd have lots of parts to learn. You didn't really have to because it's listening to the songs, doing the percussion and all that, right?
So it's like I would say the easiest part about vocal percussion is that I get to hear it and understand there's a vibe here. A lot of this stuff is multi-tracked, so the expectation that I'm going to do all of it it's not there. The hardest part is deciding what the most important part of those things are and deciding if I want to change anything about it. So it's a creative thing, whereas if you're singing, you know what the parts are, you know what your
Yeah.
notes are, you know what you're supposed to be singing.
Sure.
all the think work is taken out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, it is easier because I have a lot more
Freedom.
with it.
Sure.
I
Which is
mean,
also his name.
so
Right, and that's not always the easiest
yeah.
thing to do either because it's okay. I can do anything. Where do I start?
yeah. And also I think it's really helpful because a lot of the arrangers have like a vision of what they want to hear with it, and
Mhm.
that's helpful. Sometimes I'll send like a little demo of here's me going through the song, let me know what you want to change, and then I get to create a blueprint for
Right.
it, you know what I mean, and go from there.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
That is quite the journey. Is it everything now that you've been in it? How is the reality?
Versus
As-
like what I thought it was going
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
It's better. It's literally the best work situation I've ever been in.
Nice.
Like it's really nice. Like you were like, oh, I come in and I arrange and I do this social media stuff. It's really nice to be able to just do that. Whereas with other groups, it's okay, who's writing up contracts for this gig? Who's going out and getting the business side of it, like not having to worry about that like at all. And just the group has a team,
Mm-hmm.
like a lighting. I never even thought of lighting as part of a show, but
Yeah.
or like the screen behind us, like
Either did we the first tour.
yeah.
We didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
No, we didn't.
But I got to walk into a very well-oiled machine, which just helped me be able to do more.
Mhm.
I think just to really be able to come in and really hit the ground running. And also everyone in the group was very open and welcoming to the ideas, the arrangements. You're right.
Absolutely.
The first arrangement I had was an original.
Mhm.
And it's very easy to be like, I don't know. You know what I mean? But no, it was like, wow,
that's a really good
okay.
song.
But
Cool.
also a testament to you, the stuff you were doing was good. Like this group is very honest. If you
Yeah.
come with an arrangement and no one's feeling it, we're not going to do it. So the fact that you can have all the motor you want and all the work ethic and everything, but the talent's not there, then we're not going to do your original song if it sucks. But it was a great song, so we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we recap the shows from last week? Unless you guys have any other thing to ask.
I don't have any questions to ask.
Yeah.
I do want to make a comment
Please.
to the listeners, getting some messages and emails about the whole matinee thing.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Because you said that you're not.
Wait, comment on it.
Yeah. I want to make a clarification. I am not talking about 2 show days. Okay. I'm talking about just a 1 show day, it being a matinee. I obviously understand that 2 show days are great because it gives people multiple chances to come and families can come in the afternoon, all that stuff. So I just want to make a clarification that I am only speaking about a single show day, Victoria and Rich.
Thank you for
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Vicky Victoria.
Thank
and
you for
Rich.
that.
I got your emails.
So when we were last with you guys, we were in Atlanta on an off day. And since then, we've had a bunch of shows. I wanted to start with last weekend. We ended the week in Nashville at the Ryman, which is always a lot of fun. I was wondering if you guys had anything to say about that show. Was there anything that happened? Was there anything that you remember was great, that was not good? It's an open floor.
It's always nice to perform there. It's such an iconic venue, the Ryman Auditorium. We've done it a bunch of times, and we're very fortunate that we get to play that room. So it's always surreal to be on that stage. They're doing tours during the day on the stage that we're going to perform on that night. So it's pretty surreal that we get to perform on a stage like that. And then when we get to the show, the crowd in Nashville is always awesome. We have a bunch of friends that we know that have been coming to our shows forever there. Bunch of people in the business that come to the show. That's always fun to see. The Ryman is like an old church, right? It's like an old, so everybody sits in basically church pews. So the sound is very reverberant and loud, which but I know our sound guy does not like. But I think it's just really, really cool, and especially for just to hear the crowd's reactions and them getting excited, and then to end it with off mic in a room like that is really cool too. So
Yeah.
it's just a fun show all around, and we love going there. It's so awesome.
Oh, I was gonna say one of the really cool things that I noticed when we were going through the line or like doing the signing line, a lot of people, they didn't know who we were. Like the coolest thing about the Ryman is that people are like, I wanted to see a
Already in
show
Nashville.
at the Ryman. We were visiting Nashville and we saw y'all were performing.
Totally.
So I think it also says something about the quality of the artists that they bring in.
Totally.
Just it doesn't matter what show it is. I know that there's a standard for what we're going to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, but the crowd it's always awesome.
In 2 years in a row now, we have our boy who comes and sits in the front row with a cowboy hat on and his Packers jersey. And the day of the Ryman show, the Lions beat the Packers. So I got to rib him a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was fun. But yeah, he's cool. He comes
Nice.
every year.
So that was nice. And then we were off for the next 2 days. And then on Wednesday, we all fly up to Madison, Wisconsin. Was there anything about that show that stuck out?
I was almost late for sound check on that show.
Yeah.
What happened?
I was thinking, I remember thinking during the day, I'm like, I haven't seen Freedom yet.
What happened?
Did he make it?
I was originally supposed to have a direct flight at 8 a.m.
On Wednesday morning?
on Wednesday morning from LAX to Madison.
No way. They have
Direct.
those?
I didn't know. So I get to the airport, the flight's delayed, and then they're like, okay, we can send you through Chicago. So I had to fly in, and I got to Chicago, and I ended up getting to Madison. There was probably like an hour and a half layover in Chicago. I ended up making it to Madison at 4:45
That's the
p.m.
time you landed?
That's when I
Oh, boy.
landed.
Wow. Not
And,
that.
and luckily the venue's only like 15 minutes away from the
Yeah.
airport, so it was like, okay, but geez, that was
I didn't know it
kinda
was like
close.
that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad you made the show.
Yeah, totally. So I would have ended up driving up if there was nothing I could get from Chicago. I would have just
Yeah.
rented a car and driven the 2 hours I think that it is away. But yes, I was glad that I was able to make it. Got there, sound check, and it was a great show.
It was a good show. Yeah.
They
Oh.
like it up there.
Yeah. Always good crowds in
Yeah.
Wisconsin. We're going to be in Appleton in a few weeks, and
Mhm.
it's the same. Madison,
Right.
Yeah,
Appleton,
they're great.
they're always crushing it.
Madison's a cool town. I like Madison. I got to walk around a little bit, and I got there the night before the show. So the morning, I got to have a nice leisurely morning. I walked around. It was a little cold, but I walked around the
Mhm.
lake a little bit, and it's a cool little path along the lake there. It was fun.
So when I flew home from Nashville on Monday morning, 6 a.m. flight, Golden Tate was on my flight. So if you're a football fan, Seahawks or Lions or
Right.
Notre Dame,
Oh,
Golden Tate. That was hilarious that the gate attendant was like, Golden Tate, can you please check in? And there were a bunch of people with Lions gear on because it's day after a game, and like everyone's head started to pop up like Golden Tate. How many Golden Tates can there be?
Yeah, right.
Anyway, probably don't blow up his spot like that.
It happens more often than we think. If you're a person of public interest, public, is that the right? Public,
works.
people,
Notoriety.
if people know who you are, that they're like, hey, could not like Tom Cruise, but like somebody like, I can't think of an example. But do you get that happens more than we think?
I think it
What do you
does
mean that
happen
they're
more
on
than
the
you
plane?
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah,
but they're
of course.
announcing the name, and everyone's
think. Yeah.
I've
No.
never heard any name announcements like that, but his name is also very specific. If you
Yeah.
know his name, anyway, it did turn out to be him. He walked right by me. Anyway,
best friend.
when I flew home in shorts and a t-shirt
Oh,
okay.
no.
because it was like 70 degrees in Michigan and it was nice in Nashville.
Mhm.
So generally, when we have these days off that are like quick turnarounds, we'll all just go home with a backpack. So fly home with the clothes, wash those clothes at home, put them back on, fly back. I get to Madison at 8:30 in the morning,
Another one.
and it's freezing. I'm in shorts and a t-shirt, and I was like, I'm not prepared for this. So I get to the venue, and the buses aren't there, and I really wanted to go out for coffee, but it was just like too cold.
Too cold.
But Madison is a great town. Tyler and I won our ICCA regional
Oh, you did?
championship there in Madison on my birthday.
2005.
Interesting.
That was a good time. And yeah, Madison's always cool.
So the next night we go to Iowa City, which is at the University of Iowa. I think we've been there a few times. It's really nice. It's new.
Hancher.
Yeah, I thought that show was great. It was almost sold out.
It was sold out.
It was sold out.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the first show that sold out on this tour.
Oh yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Auburn was also.
All right,
sold out.
Iowa.
Not before I was in.
Oh,
Uh,
it sold out first. Got it.
I know you have a story about
people.
Yes.
something in.
Do you want to say
After
anything
the
about
show.
because
Huh?
you had all the people's.
About the show.
Yeah.
It was,
You also had people.
Hampshire,
Yes, cousins
Hampshire's
there.
awesome. We tried to go to Hampshire early on, and that venue got flooded in a big flood, like in 2010, maybe. And we had to perform in the Union, but that show also we had a blizzard that day, so
Yep.
like none of my family could come over from Des Moines, and like there were, I mean, there were people at the show, but it wasn't very many. Then they finally redid this Hampshire Auditorium, and it's beautiful now. Oh my
Really
gosh,
nice.
Yeah.
it's sparkling and just pretty, and it's so awesome. My family got to come over. They had a great time. The crowd was awesome. The staff there is great. The people that work there are great. Told us that they loved having us there, and we loved being there. So it was. I'm sure we'll go back there again, but it's Iowa City.
Yeah.
Even though they're Hawkeyes,
It's great.
We still like them.
Plus, Iowa City itself is very similar to Bloomington.
Oh,
Kind of
yeah.
just a
Oh.
college town in the middle of nothing, just pops up out of nowhere, and it's just a great town. But in the signing line after the show, so every night we always have people come through and say, we sang the can, or we sang 12 days in our high school choir or middle school choir or adult choir or whatever. A million different iterations of that. We had a first after this show.
Oh, gosh.
This guy came through. I think it's really cool, actually.
It's really cool.
It's very extreme, but it's very cool. This guy comes through the line. He's got a suit on, looking slick, handlebar mustache. And he's, I got to tell you guys, I sang in an a cappella chorus when I was in prison, and we did your 12 Days of Christmas. And we're all just, I'm sorry, can you say that again? He was like,
Excuse me, what?
when I was in prison,
Yeah.
we sang your 12 Days of Christmas. And I was like, is there footage? He's no, that it was no one recorded or anything. I was like, man, that would have been very cool and interesting to see. He said they changed it up a little bit to
Mhm.
reflect whatever they were going through there.
He said he got to sing like the
Africa part.
no the
5 golden
yes
rings.
the
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I
Something
just
about
thought that
that.
was super interesting. And that's something like you'll never forget. None of us will
Yeah.
ever forget that he was like, yeah, we sang this in prison. It was cool.
Yeah, I think it's awesome because you never know how far your music goes.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's dope.
Yeah.
Like that's really
Mhm.
cool. And actually, when I was in that group, The Exchange, we did a prison tour. We did a maximum security prison tour for 2 weeks.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it was 16 shows. And I gotta say, doing those shows. It was very tiring. It was like 2-hour shows, but I don't know if I've ever come across more appreciative audiences.
Really?
Man. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, because they're probably starving for any sort of
Yeah.
entertainment. you know?
Yeah. And they were all like really nice. I don't know what they'd done. It was
Maximum security, so it wasn't nothing.
something exactly. So I remember getting there and I was
Wasn't
like,
nothing.
you're shut dudes
Yeah.
with like tats on their face, and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, we're about to sing a cappella music
Right.
for you guys.
Yeah.
Like, but man, they were into it. And it was
Yeah.
cool to see. At first you see people arms crossed and they're a little hard, and then you
Yeah.
see them soften up as the show goes on, and they're like, by the end, they're like, yeah, they're like really into it. And
I like to
just-
call that Stockholm syndrome in real time. You just watch them go from hating the entire existence of this moment to like, oh, I might as well have a good time. We're here. But that must be crazy. I wanted to ask him
What he did.
just like how long were you in like
Oh,
just to
yeah.
like, have a little context, but
Well, he'll be on next week.
that's probably considered rude to
Or next
ask.
year when we go to Iowa, you can ask him again because he'll come.
Or
back.
if you listen to this, maybe
Yeah.
he'll just tell us.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably rude to ask, right?
I don't think I've ever met anyone other than him who has been in like I'm like
Prison.
like a maximum security prison.
Yeah.
But I
If we
wouldn't
just
know.
get his name, we could just Google it because
I-
it's public information.
Yeah, sure.
I
mean,
think I don't think they take offense to it.
Okay.
I think it is part of their life because
Yeah.
and it's I did this, I made this mistake, and I spent X amount of years in, and now that I don't think it's disrespectful.
The setting wasn't really
Okay, that's that.
here. I'm
That's
signing a poster for you, sir. What did you do to go to jail? Like,
And how long
that's-
were you there?
thank you for spending your hard-earned money on our show. Why did you break the? That's just not the right.
Yeah, okay, that's
time or
fair.
place.
The timing would have been.
Yeah,
better,
I would have felt a little rude, but yeah. So that was Iowa, and after Iowa, we went somewhere else.
Went to Kansas.
Salina,
Salina, Kansas.
Stiefel.
Which we have been there a few times. Always
We have.
like it's a good little spot. The hospitality there was really nice. It's like a home almost.
Yeah.
Very homey.
A couple ladies back there, just the nicest people. It was raining all day.
Yep.
It was a bit of a downer day, I
Gloomy.
would say. Yeah. I think, but other than that, though, the show was awesome.
It was great.
And was there anything else about that other than what happened? The show? Anything stick out?
I think. I thought there
Was no, that was Colorado Springs.
All right.
Yeah, it was.
So I
pretty-
think
it
it
was
would help
pretty
with
adorable
context.
show.
So the next show was actually supposed to be Denver, and we weren't able to make it. So we spent the night in the venue. Actually,
Yeah,
we were up
they
until
were-
like
They were super gracious and allowed
Yeah.
us to stay in the venue as late as we wanted. They gave us the door code. We could come in the morning and use the facilities and have lunch, everything. They were
Right.
unbelievably gracious to do that.
So we had to cancel the show or no, we had to move the show. And the
Move
show
the show.
actually is, I mean, as we record this, the show is in 4 hours. We had to move it to November 11th, which is Monday. But it was nice to hang after the show and not have to go anywhere and to use the room and just hang out.
We had a euchre tournament.
euchre
Yeah.
tournament. Yeah.
it's nice too because usually after shows, like before days off, we like to hang out a little more than normal. But usually we have to leave to go to the next place, so we have to split up on our buses and go. Well, this time since we stayed there, we could all hang out in that one room, and
Right.
that's a rarity for us. We're never usually like hanging out like that.
It
And
felt almost like a residency.
a little bit.
Like after
Slime.
the show, we're all just gonna hang backstage and just chill, have some drinks, play euchre, and then we listen to 90s music to like
No.
forecast what we're gonna do
Yeah,
next summer a
yeah.
little bit. And I think we listened to every 90s song there is.
So much.
At least a
That's a
minute of it
lot.
because Walt.
To his credit, we would be like, "Oh, play,
Oh,
play
yeah,
this one,
play
play
the-
this
yeah,
one. Oh,
yeah,
do you remember this
yeah.
one? Oh, no, play that one." So he was just like, "All right, slow down." So yeah, we were just like, just rolling through those songs, just coming up with ideas for next. It was just a really cool, like,
Mhm.
we're not really mid tour, but quarter of the way through, it was a cool hang. It was fun.
I had never experienced anything like that, which was
Yeah.
like very cool. Steve called it like a church lock-in. Felt like-
That's very
Yeah,
that's
no
very
one knows.
true. Yeah.
I don't think as much drinking happens at church. They do have
that
wine.
was funny.
That was a lot of fun, except for now we have 8 shows in a row.
Yep.
That's because usually we're off on Mondays, but this time we were off on Saturday and we spent it on the bus essentially, right?
Yep.
Driving.
Yeah. I think we ended up Where did we end up that night?
In Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs.
Oh, we made
yeah.
it.
Oh,
It was a
okay.
long drive though.
Yeah.
It was long. Yeah.
But during the day, we got to watch IU win,
That's right.
which was awesome. We were parked at this hotel, which we didn't have rooms at. We took over the lobby and we were watching the Michigan IU game. And that was awesome because we won.
So we end up in Colorado Springs where we have a show yesterday. And like I said, it's the opening show of an 8-show week, which we are used to. Maybe not. I don't know if we've had a week like this.
we had
Last
started
early
year,
in
last
we did
year.
16 in a row. Last
Yeah,
year.
last year.
I meant like it's usually
Up to, yeah.
yeah at like the end of the
This
year. It's
soon,
not
yeah.
like early like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But in a way, I think it's almost good to start those heavy weeks.
Honestly, as long as there's not 2 shows in the day,
Mhm.
vocally and like physically, doing a show a night is not a problem. We could do one every night. You know what I
It's
mean?
everything around it, like the travel and the just
Yeah.
all that. Like it's not.
But when you throw in the 4-show weekends, those
Mhm.
are taxing. But if it's just like a single show every night, like we could do a show every night. It wouldn't,
Mhm.
because we always do that thing right after those long weeks. Like, all right, could you do a show today? And we're always like, yeah,
Yeah.
we could probably do
It
it.
wouldn't be great, but we can do it.
I mean, are they ever great?
No, no. The answer is no. They're fine.
How was the show last night?
I thought the crowd was great.
Yeah, I thought it went well. I thought
And tell me if I'm wrong, is it the home of the Air Force? Is that where the
Yeah,
that's where the academy is.
That's
so
where the
the
academy
academy,
is.
the Air Force Academy is in Colorado Springs, and so we did something special last night. We sang the Air Force
Fight song.
theme song.
Fight song.
Fight song.
Ba-da-da-da-ba-da-ba-da, Up we go. That one.
Look
It
at
was far blue yonder, something so.
Yes, up.
Okay.
Now we have to pay licensing.
All right. Yeah, you can only do 20
Eight-
seconds.
8
and then-
seconds, yeah.
8 seconds. Okay, but no, we had an arrangement for that Walt did of all of the Armed Forces songs, and we did the Air Force one last night, which obviously went over very well and was fun to do. A little something new for us in the show that kind of is always fun to do. Put something a little different in there. So yeah, it was cool.
And you could view all of those Armed Forces songs on our social media sites right now. It's up on Facebook. It's up on Instagram. It's up on
At
TikTok.
SMC Music.
At SMC.
There were a lot of veterans in the house last
Yeah.
night.
There were.
That was so
That was
cool.
cool to have
I
them
love
all
that.
see
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
have them all just to have them all in there and be able to acknowledge them. Yeah.
I heard a fan come through the line last night, and she said that she was supposed to come to the Denver show, but it got moved to today, and so she is from Fort Collins, which we've been to before,
Mm,
and so she drove down last night because that was the show that she could make. So
love that.
I'm glad that you got to come.
Yeah, it's always nice when that happens.
Yeah.
Because you don't want them to miss the show,
Right.
but they could make it to another one because we're
Glad we were close
around here.
ish, you know,
So,
not too far of a drive. But yeah, it was a good show.
should we get into the mailbag?
Well,
Or
let's mail it up.
I
some questions this week?
pulled off a few, but there is one specific to freedom. that
Oh,
I'm
that's
going
even
to-
better.
I saw that. I was like, oh, this one's going.
That's gotta be it.
So
Right.
this is from. Oh, by the way, if you'd like to give us a question, you can email us at unofficialofficialpod@gmail.com, and please say your name and where you're from, and you can ask us basically anything.
Yep. Doesn't have to be SNC related. It could
Nope.
be anything.
So this first question is from Kim from Lincoln, Nebraska. She says, "Where does Freedom fit into the group for the harmonies when he doesn't have to do vocal percussion?" She said, "Don't think I noticed during the '90s tour because I was at the Omaha show where he sat in his chair due to his injury." I forgot about that.
Oh snap! Yeah. Oh.
So this summer, our Omaha show, Freedom hurt himself by going up the stairs.
Walking up steps to my
He's
dressing
40.
room. I was like, that's not a good story at all. Everyone was asking me how I hurt myself, and I was
Yeah,
like, this is
this
not.
not-
This is so sad.
I was,
Okay, have you ever heard of steps? Okay, have you ever gone up them? Yeah, they're dangerous.
Make something up.
Oh man, and it was like probably a couple hours before the show.
Yep.
or were they like
Yeah.
big steps? No, just
No,
regular.
just normal steps.
Normal
At
steps,
the
man.
top, at the top one too. At the
Two-
very top one.
To code. Yeah, he went from it wasn't even steps, it was just going to the solid ground. That is now the floor. So if you bought him a Stairmaster for Christmas, return it because he's afraid of those.
Oh my goodness.
I would say that you probably can do anything except for bass. You can
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
fit in everywhere, really.
Yeah, anywhere that like the group would need me, like Barry, T2, T1. But I would say my natural setting is probably 10 or 2.
Yeah.
10 or 2 stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
That makes sense.
I
And
remember
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, no,
Just
no.
about that show.
Go ahead.
I remember our tour manager Sean like literally rolling me to the like signing line in like a swivel chair.
Forgot about all this. Man. That's awesome.
So
'Cause I
basically,
couldn't walk.
And now he's rolling
And now
around.
Sean is, yeah.
how the tables have turned. Our tour manager hurt his foot, so he scoots around the venues like literally on a scooter. Yeah, and so Freedom did that show basically in a chair. And so when he did his vocal percussion intro, we pushed him out into the front of the stage center.
It's pretty amazing.
If there's video of that, can someone send that to us?
Someone has it. That's funny.
So he did the whole thing
Brilliant.
in his chair, and it was awesome. But the good news is he's okay now, and everything is
Sure
fine.
is.
I can take steps like a pro now.
Okay, this next question is from Debbie Collins, and she's in North Carolina. So she asks, I believe, a question specific to the off mic, where how can you sing next to someone that has a different range? Meaning, like, how can you stand next to somebody who's singing a different part? She said, at the end of the concert without microphones, Walt was next to Luke Bob, and they both had perfect pitch. So I think what she's asking is, when we're standing in that circle and the person next to you, or even two down, has a totally different part, like, how do you do it?
I think it's actually easier to stand away from your own. I don't like hearing my part
Same.
Yeah.
while I'm singing at the same
Same.
time because you're never going to be perfectly matched up, right? Pitch wise. And the closer you are in the discrepancy, the wilder the waveform is. So when you're standing next to, like right now, I stand in between Walt and Tyler, and they sing different parts from each other for this off mic. But it's like a Jenga or like a puzzle. Like you could feel where you fit a little bit better when you're hearing the other parts around you.
Yeah. So for that song, I am next to Mike.
Next to me.
And
You're-
yeah,
and
and then
Is Rome
it's
on
like
the
kind
right
of
with
Rome is
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So Rome's the lead on that. But there are parts where we have a little bit of crossover. And for me, I like that. It's almost like a check-in before you
Yeah,
go back
yeah.
and split off. Okay,
doubt.
cool. We're in. Okay, yes. We're in accord with each other there. And then
Mhm.
like it makes getting to the next harmony a little easier.
And like you can hear when it's locked, right?
Totally.
Versus when
know.
you're just, if you're in a choir, I think it's different. There's 30 people singing your part. It's a little bit different. But when it's just like singles, singing between two different parts and hearing all those three parts lock in together, it just makes it, I don't know, makes it easier, more
Yeah.
comfortable to your ear. Also, like, and it allows you to be a little more musical with it. I would say.
There's a lot of people on trios, which was a little bit different than I usually do for an off mic, just because before I try to keep a more simple approach because obviously we don't have microphones, so you want it to sound the best. But I think with this group, I don't want to say challenge, but I knew that we could do it if I had different trios going. So even though that there wouldn't be that power of the pad, if you will, or that 4-part, I felt like people could do their own thing. And if once they were doing their own thing, like coming back together for certain parts and being unison or being in like trios or whatever. So that's what I was thinking.
And I think the response has been awesome.
Yeah, it's been great.
Right.
It's going to be sad when we have to take it out.
Yeah.
I know. I love this one.
It's a good one.
I would like to.
Well, we can
I
bring
wanna
it back.
record this one.
Should.
Yeah.
I want to record this one.
Yeah.
Should
It's
definitely.
We generally will use it like next year. It's not 90s, so we wouldn't use it for the 90s show, but maybe for the other
Or next fall, maybe.
shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we do one more question if we have it?
Okay, one more, and this is from our longtime fan Vicky Garcia.
Oh, great.
She's from New Jersey. She's been a fan for a long time. Shout out Vicky.
Vicky.
She asked, "Who do you guys like going to see in concert? Favorite group, band or artist, and how many times?"
Oh man,
I don't know if I've seen anybody.
multiple. I can't remember.
I've seen Dave Matthews probably 5 or 6 times.
Really.
I've seen Broussard twice now.
I've seen Bruno twice.
Bruno once.
I've seen Bruno
That
twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would
Yeah,
watch.
I'd go to
that.
Bruno
Straight up
all
shows,
the
Yeah, I
all
would
the
see
time.
it every day.
Yeah.
The show we saw in Vegas was.
Yeah.
Insane.
I'm not a big concert guy in general. Like I like comedians. I've seen all the comedians a million times each. But yeah, that Bruno show was Silk Sonic was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So jealous.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh man, there was like the American Music Awards, I think, and it was in L.A. And the year I went to it, Silk Sonic was opening the show, and we
Oh,
got
wow.
there
Oh, wow.
15 minutes late. I was
Oh,
so
no.
sad,
No.
so sad.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now you'll just have to go to Vegas.
I know that'll be great.
Yeah, I think we would all definitely go see that again. That was one of the best shows I've seen. It was awesome.
You've seen Mayer more than once.
Mayor, but like,
I've seen him twice.
but it's not every single year. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh,
Every time he comes, I'm going.
yeah, once every couple of years if I get the chance to go.
Yeah.
But it's a good question. I like that.
I've seen John Legend a couple times.
Mhm.
That was really
I've
cool.
seen him twice too.
Once before his first album came out, he came to our multi-purpose room at the University of Delaware, and he was
Oh, cool.
Wow.
amazing.
Really?
I remember sitting being like, this dude should be famous. And then a few months later, he released his first album.
One of the best to do it. So
Right. You would know.
you would know. So those are the questions from the mailbag. Officialpod@gmail.com. Name, city, and don't forget to like and subscribe and rate the show and send it to your friends. We just passed 6,000 downloads, which is awesome.
Thank you
I think
guys so
the
much.
first week, like I was looking at the thing, it was like a bunch in India and stuff. Like I think it was just like
India?
yeah, like bots, like just pick it up, whatever. Like the
Sure, was
first
it
episode.
Indi-
I may have read that wrong.
Okay.
But no, I think the first episode had 1,200 downloads. And obviously, there's not 1,200 people chiming in each week, but
Yeah.
I hope soon. Let's pause for an ad break.
Yep.
And today's ad break is going to be Sharpie.
They come in different colors.
Never go out
Sharpie.
to a meet and greet line without it. They come in black. They come in silver. They come in all kinds of colors. All
We
different
use-
colors.
We use these after every single show.
Every show.
Any piece of merch you've ever gotten signed from Straight No Chaser has been signed with a Sharpie.
A long lasting Sharpie, especially the silver ones.
Won't wash out of your clothing after one wash.
But they will maybe have a little bit of a lighter look after the wash. Just a bit of a fade.
But you can get those re-signed by us with a Sharpie after any Straight No Chaser show. Once again, that's Sharpie permanent markers, fine point.
Don't leave home without it.
So as we wrap up here, guys, is there anything about the show this evening or this week that you are looking ahead to? Is there anything you guys want to say just as we wrap up this episode with Freedom?
Well, glad to have him on.
Absolutely,
And,
Freedom. Thank you so
looking-
much for
yeah,
doing that.
No
looking
problem.
looking
It was a
forward to
blast.
these next week of shows. I think we're going south and then we're going west. So we're doing some Oklahoma, Texas, and then we're going out to
Can we
California.
go to California,
and
your
then
neck of the woods. Yeah.
making,
Yeah.
making our way up that
Yeah.
coast. Going to be a fun week of shows.
I'm not sure exactly where we're going, but are you going to be able to get home at all?
We're in El Cajon, which is maybe like an hour and change
Okay.
south of where I live. So we have a day off, and then we have the show in El Cajon.
That's
So
right.
my family's gonna come down to El Cajon,
Awesome.
and then we're just gonna make a little day of it, and then they'll see
love
the
it.
show the next day. So that's great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so to everyone listening, this next week we're going to be, let's see, we'll probably get this out on Wednesday or
Wednesday,
Thursday.
yeah.
So Wednesday we'll be in Lawrence, Kansas at the Lead Center. Then we head to Dallas, Texas, playing the Majestic Theater downtown. So come on out to that. And then our first time to Galveston, Texas. That'll be our first time. Be cool. I want to like maybe get out during the day and head over to NASA and see if there's like a little museum or something
that's
to take a
cool.
look at.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then after Galveston, we're going to be in San Antonio at a new venue.
Great.
Awesome.
It was the Majestic. Congrats, boys. You just played
We
the
just played
Majestic.
that.
Did it change names or did it actually a new venue?
No, this is the Tobin Center for the Performing Arts.
Tobin?
Sounds like a nice place. And then
Sounds
we
great.
end the week in Lubbock, Texas at Texas Tech University at the Buddy Holly Hall of Performing Arts
Love it.
and Sciences. We won't be doing any sciences, but we will be doing arts. So you can get tickets and information at sncmusic.com. And Freedom, who did you vote for?
What a
just-
way to send it off.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Hold on. So that's our week and our upcoming week. And we'll probably record a pod in El Cajon on our day off.
We will.
We'll have another guest, a free one.
Mhm.
And yeah, follow us on all the socials. And Freedom, I want you to look into the camera and I want you to just leave the viewers and listeners with just one word or one sentence. Could be anything, doesn't have to make any sense. Could be whatever you want, but go for it.
Be nice for no reason.
That's
I like that.
the best
great.
one
I
yet.
like
That's the
that.
best one.
All right. That's awesome.
All right.
The two we've done this.
So this has been the latest episode of the unofficial official podcast from Straight No Chaser. We will see you guys next time. And thanks for listening.